Welcome to this presentation of the Rotary Club of North Bethesda, Maryland, USA. Our club was established in 1974. We meet every Friday morning at 7:45 a.m., and we often invite guest speakers to give presentations on all kinds of interesting subjects. Please contact us through our website at nbrotary.org. And thanks for watching. Our speaker today is Allison Reznick. She will be introduced by North Bethesda Rotary Club member Linda Bergcross.
We have a wonderful speaker today. I'm very excited. And this is Allison Reznick. As FutureLink's Director of Mentoring and Education, Allison recruits, trains, manages, and matches students to the growing cadre of volunteers serving as mentors, tutors, and career coaches. In addition, Allison is a critical contributor and manager of FutureLink programs and a key member of the strategic team. She understands the role of the volunteer, as she began with FutureLink as a mentor and previously served as a member of the FutureLink board. So I'm sure we're all going to find this very informative. Go ahead, Allison, if you want to share or not. I don't know if you can do it.
Super. Thank you, Linda, for the introduction, and thank you for having me this morning. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen to give you a presentation, and then certainly happy to take any questions you have at the end. So with that in mind, let me just go ahead and share my screen. There we go. So again, good morning, and thank you for your time. To share with you about a very significant need in our community and how FutureLink works with hundreds of volunteers to address that need. Our team is small. We only have 4 staff on our team, but we work with hundreds of volunteers in the community to work with our students. So I'm excited to share with you about the work that we do and for you to consider getting involved. So with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and start the presentation. To go through just a little bit of the topics we're going to talk about today. First, there is an opportunity divide in our community that we'll speak to. Then we're going to talk about the challenges the young adults face that we work with, a little bit about our organization, and then certainly ways to get involved. Along the way, please enjoy the pictures that you see. These are all students and volunteers of ours in our community, with their mentors, with their tutors, with their career coaches. And just even to highlight this one picture on the bottom right, this is a mentor who took her mentee to a basketball game, and this was his first time going to a basketball game. So that was a really fun and exciting experience for him. So just to start, as I'm sure you all know, we live in one of the most affluent communities in the country. And with that backdrop in mind, most of our students are immigrants. They come from loving families, but they really need help navigating the complexities of higher education in the world of work. The systems are complicated. Our students do not have a professional role model at home to help them navigate these systems. They don't have someone who is saying to them, "Did you work on your resume? Let me introduce you to a neighbor who's in the line of work that you're interested in. Let me edit that essay for you." They don't have someone who's regularly engaged on their professional career journey. So because of this, they also don't have the network, and they don't have doors being opened for them. So there are achievement gaps in degrees, in wealth, and in the ability to live in this expensive community. So that is where our opportunity gap comes into place. As I'm sure you also know, most jobs require some sort of higher education, post-secondary education or training. And again, because our students don't have a professional role model at home, they don't know what they don't know. So many of our students want to become doctors or nurses. And as you well know, there are so many other opportunities in the healthcare system. They just don't know what they are. Or they'll say, "I want to become a doctor because I want to help people." And I'm sure, as you know, there are so many other career opportunities where you are helping people besides those professions. So then we're layering COVID on top of this, and we have more skilled people vying for those lower level jobs, putting our students at even more of a disadvantage. So putting that together, our students just can't compete with their more affluent peers who have resume building experiences and come from families with those professional role models. Many of their peers received resume building experiences in high school through job shadowing, through networking with their parents, through internships. Our students are getting that resume building experience for the first time as freshmen and sophomores in college. Many of them have never even been inside of an office building before. So given all of this, the opportunity gap, all these factors, the lack of professional guidance from home, what we're still up against with COVID makes it really hard for our students to achieve economic independence. And this is really why FutureLink exists. We exist to level that playing field as our students work to achieve self-sufficiency. That said, the path to self-sufficiency for our students is long. They are going to school part-time. They are having to work. They're not just working 10 or 15 hours a week for some book money. Many of them are working 20, 30, sometimes 40 hours a week. They're living on their own. They're having to contribute to household expenses. So many of them are in school part-time. Many of them are starting school with remedial English or remedial math classes. So meaning that they place into these remedial classes that they have to pay for, but they're not yet receiving credit for. They're not placing into the English 101 classes. And then like many of their peers, they're changing their major. So with all those things combined, it's a long journey for them. Our one-on-one model, however, sees them through their journey so they are not derailed. And our one-on-one model is a model that one size does not fit all. We work with every student on an individual level. Student Mike has different needs than student Azita. Each of our students have different aptitudes, interests, and personal circumstances, and we really work to embrace their uniqueness and work out an individual plan for each student. If you take a look at the statistics on the table, you'll see that nationally, about 20% of Black and Hispanic students complete an associate's degree in 6 years. That's a long time, 6 years. So compared to 38% of our FutureLink students complete their associate's degree in about 4 years. If you look at the bachelor degree completion rates, you'll see nationally about 6% of students complete their bachelor's degree in 6 years compared to our 17%. Again, our individual model is essential. Otherwise, the students are falling through the cracks. And now we layer again COVID on top of that. COVID ran rampant through our multi-generational families, and the impact is still being felt. Many of our students stopped going to school because they needed to work, because they or their family members became sick, or because they were not successful in distance learning. So our job during this time was to keep in touch with the students, keep their eye on the prize, keep talking about going back to school, so we do not contribute to this dismal statistic of only 13% of low-income students returning to school after taking a break. So with this backdrop of information in mind, FutureLink's mission is to provide high potential, low income, first generation to college young adults with the resources and opportunities, knowledge, skills, and personalized support they need to become self-sufficient and financially independent. And we do it differently. We really focus on one-on-one long-term support. We are working with our students in a deep and meaningful way. We really want to get to know the students. We are not with them just for 3 months or 6 months. We are with them for years. And so we really are with the students all through their journey. Again, our ultimate goal is to see our students to self-sufficiency and economic independence. And so to do that, they have to have an academic and career success. We do a lot of support and monitoring of their academics. We are not part of Montgomery College, but we work very closely with the college. And so we are able to really help them monitoring their grades, understanding their financial aid situation, and things like that. We have an extraordinary community of caring professionals, of which we could not do the work we do without them. The professionals in our community serve as mentors, career coaches, tutors, informational interviewers, internship hosts, etc. Again, as I mentioned, we are a small staff of 4. We really rely on our volunteer community to engage and support our students in that one-on-one way, because they themselves help us bring more access to opportunities. That's one of the things we talked about at the beginning, is our students don't have access to opportunities. But really those opportunities, when we present it to the students and they grab those opportunities, their career trajectory and, quite honestly, their life trajectory pivots and changes. Because when they are open to something new and to kind of step through that door, it can be life-changing for them. And then again, we meet each individual where they are. Our students' skills, their aptitudes, their time that they need to start working is all going to be different. So we also understand that college is not for everybody. So we have a student, for instance, who was in school, he was not being successful, but he was working at Starbucks. And he really loved the culture there. He loved the customer service. He loved the management team. So we coached him on how to approach his manager, who eventually approached his manager, on how he can develop a plan to take their trainings and get on their management track. So that's going to be his trajectory. Then we have students who go on to get their bachelor's degree and even their master's degree and are working in professional settings like KPMG and Freddie Mac. All of these ultimately are self-sufficient students. Our students follow this 2-phase program within our pathway. The first phase of our program is a 15-week self-advocacy and career development seminar. And during this time, they really focus on their personal development, a lot of those really important soft skills. So again, if they don't have someone at home helping them learn how to use a calendar, many of our students never learn time management. So at 18, 19, and 20, they're just starting to learn how to use a calendar. We had a student once who was so impressed. She had written everything she had to do for the week down on a piece of paper, and she showed it to me and she said, "Hey, Allison, look at this. I wrote everything I'm supposed to do for the week down on this piece of paper." And then she said, "But now what do I do?" So although she had written it down, she didn't then know how to use the calendar as a tool. So although these things might be obvious to us, it is not to them because they've never had the practice using it. So a lot of those soft skills we work on in the seminar, public speaking, goal setting, informational interviews, and really it's a chance for the students to focus on themselves. As I was saying earlier, their lives are busy between school, work, home responsibilities. And so we ask them questions that, again, may seem very simple, but no one has likely asked them before. What are your strengths? So many of our students have never even thought about what their strengths are. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? So again, what might seem like really simple questions, but are really thoughtful for them. After the 15 weeks, students then enter phase 2 of our program, which is really the long-term piece where we get to know them on an individualized level. We continue to build on those soft skills, but then bring in the professional development piece where we're talking about internships, resume development, networking, career coaching, etc. While in parallel, obviously also focusing on their academics with scholarships, tutoring, and guidance. Again, this is not a one-size-fits-all model. The students plug into the resources as they need them, because obviously their needs as a freshman are going to be different than their needs as a senior. And so again, it's a very holistic program for them to plug into as they need them. And as you can see, again, our ultimate goal is for the students to reach self-sufficiency and financial independence. And we want to see that in a meaningful career. So again, although it would be great to work at Chipotle to earn some book money, that's not going to pay the bill long term. We want them to be in a meaningful career with advancement opportunities. So just to talk a little bit about some of the ways our students do reach self-sufficiency, the different ways that they have explored their education and career paths. So if you think about your GPS and you're going to a new location and you plug the address in and 3 different routes come up on the GPS and you have to pick one. But at the end of the day, you all end up at the same location. That's how we kind of think about our students going to self-sufficiency, that the goal is the same, the location is the same, but their pathway to get there is different. So in the first picture, we have Laura. She was not being successful in school and could not pass math. And so she also needed to start working sooner rather than later. She did not have 6 years to get a bachelor's degree due to her personal circumstances. And so we called Montgomery College and we found that there were 2 certificates that did not require math. The first one is medical coding. So although medical coding requires numbers, it does not require math. So the medical coding was the first option, and the second option was phlebotomy. And so she picked the phlebotomy path. She did the program, she passed the exam, and she was immediately picked up by LabCorp for work. So she became self-sufficient. In the second picture, we have Carlos, and he received his AA in construction management. He continued his training, and he is now a licensed journeyman as an electrician in the DMV. So Carlos is self-sufficient. In the third picture, we have Nana. Nana had planned to go to medical school. She was a very strong student. She was studying biology at the University of Maryland at College Park, but she planned to go to medical school and bring her very sick mother with her. Nana was the primary caregiver for her mother. We knew that that was likely not going to happen, and we needed to expose Nana to other opportunities. So in her senior year of college, we introduced her to the NIH summer internship program. She applied to the program and she was accepted. And through that journey, she built her confidence, she made connections, she learned about the wonderful world of research and science. This picture here is of Nana at the poster session at the end of the summer presenting her research. At the end of the summer, she applied for jobs and she ended up getting picked up at the Infectious Disease Institute, and she's now been working there for 2 years. So again, this just shows the different pathways, the different education pathways that our students take, but at the end of the day, they are all self-sufficient. So now to talk a little bit about opportunities to get involved in FutureLink, because again, we can't do this work without our extensive volunteer network. Again, our model does rely on volunteers in order for us to get that one-on-one engagement. The depths of the relationships are pretty extraordinary. Mentors and career coaches are the biggest number of volunteers in our community. Mentoring is definitely the biggest commitment of time. It is a minimum of a 1-year commitment where a volunteer works one-on-one with a student, but the rewards are extraordinary. Many of our mentorships last upwards of 2, 3, even sometimes taking the student all the way through their bachelor's degree and may last 5 years and longer. But obviously those relationships are really special. And a mentor works on with the student, again, it just depends on where the student is. It could be those really important soft skills. It could be navigating the transfer process, helping them understand the different program options at the schools, helping them with their resume. And with all of these volunteer positions, it's not that we're sending you off into the wild wander saying, okay, good luck and goodbye as a mentor. It is very much a team effort, supporting the student and you as the volunteer along the way. Career coaching is a really important component of our program because volunteers work with students on that very important professional toolbox. So when we say that, we're talking about their resume, their LinkedIn profile, cover letters, and that really important professional story. So when someone says, tell me about yourself, they know how to answer that question. That's usually one of the first questions people ask and to leave a good impression. So that's our career coaching, and that's usually a 2 to 3 month commitment at a time. Internships, capacity through introductions, when we're talking about networking and who do you know. Many times, for instance, we were just looking for someone to do an informational interview with a student who wants to go into the Peace Corps. So we as the staff don't know anyone at the Peace Corps. We started emailing some of our mentors and volunteers, and now we have 2 people that are going to do informational interviews through Peace Corps. So again, you just never know the types of career trajectories that students are looking for. The highlighted areas are those that are priority needs for sure. Scholarships, entry-level jobs, summer internships. We are working right now with a lot of companies to see what the opportunities are for students next summer. As you well know, these past couple summers have not given the students that in-office experience, and so that's been a detriment to them. As we are approaching the end of this year, we are actually looking to increase our staff by 2, which is huge for a staff of 4, to help serve our students in a more in-depth way. So all volunteer and financial support is greatly appreciated. We have done a number of other presentations to Rotary clubs. As a result, we've gotten a number of mentors and career coaches. We've gotten donors for our general fund and even some really great targeted scholarships. So for instance, as I was mentioning, not all of our students go to college and they're taking licensing programs or certificates. Those are not covered by financial aid. And so one of the other Rotary clubs has a foundation that they are giving us money specifically to support our non-traditional students who are seeking vocational certificates. At the end of the day, we are clearly supporting these young adults and making them stronger, but we are making the community stronger because these are our future nurses and teachers and electricians and researchers. And so again, our work is certainly making these young adults stronger, but these are going to be the future of our community. It is our collective impact that really makes a difference with our students. So what might resonate with you? Mentoring, we talked a little bit about. It is one of the most critical components of our volunteer network. It is one-on-one. It is getting to know that student. It is supporting them in a lot of different ways, but also then bringing in other volunteers as needed. On the professional side, providing a part-time job or hosting an intern, that resume building experience, networking, and exposing them to opportunities. And, you know, just like anything else, they go in, they try the experience. And if it's something that excites them more, then great, they're on the right trajectory. And if not, then clearly we need to pivot and see what else is out there for them. Those informational interviews. We are big fans of informational interviews because it goes to one of our guiding principles, which is good decisions can only be made with good information. And so if a student is interested in becoming a teacher, well, then let's have them go talk to a teacher so they can really understand the day in the life, the career trajectory, the pros and cons, you know, what that teacher might say to a 20-year-old just starting in the field. So we really want the students talking to people out in the community. The professional toolbox piece, editing those resumes, helping them with interviewing skills. Tutoring is a growing component of our volunteer program. And the tutoring can be in a whole range of areas, whether it's economics, chemistry, math, writing, ESL, even personal finance. So many of our students who have to really understand the nuance of what's coming in and what's going out. They don't learn these skills in high school. And now all of a sudden they're thrown into adulthood, if you will, and they've got to figure out their personal finances. And just general skills to share, fundraising, marketing, social media, writing. Again, we are a small group and welcome all volunteers. So in terms of how to get more involved, we have 2 different applications that I can share with Linda to distribute if interested. We have a mentor application, which is a longer application, again, because it's the bigger commitment of all of our volunteer opportunities. And then a general application that's pretty short, just to give us an idea of what you're interested in. If you complete one of these applications, then I would be back in touch with you to have a one-on-one conversation so that way I can share with you in more detail about the different volunteer opportunities, answer any questions you have, and also get to know you, because that's part of how we do the matching with the student. Is a lot of it is based on personality and we want the students to feel comfortable working with our volunteers. Here's my contact information. If you do have any specific questions, I'm certainly happy to answer questions now as well, but you can certainly write this down for future reference. I'll stop the share now and certainly answer any questions that you have.
Thank you for your talk. It was very informative, and it certainly sounds like you're doing a great deal of good work for people to help them become self-sufficient. I just have one question, and it's not meant to be a negative question, but are you cherry picking your people, for the candidates for the mentoring?
Explain what you mean by cherry picking.
Well, I mean, are you, let's say you have 100 people come to you, and you say, well, I'm only going to take 10 of you. That's all we can take to mentor and work with. Are you picking and choosing who you can work with? I mean, if somebody comes to you and, how do you...
No, I mean, most of the volunteers who come to us, we use.
I don't mean the volunteers. I mean the people you're
the students.
The students.
You mean the students? So they do have to meet certain criteria. They have to be a Montgomery County resident. They have to be 18 to 25 years old. They have to be low income and preferably first generation to college. So we do not accept every student who comes to us. They do fill out a lengthy application. Each student then is followed up with an individual phone call. One of the things, for instance, we try to evaluate is motivation. That is very hard to evaluate in a phone call or whatever the case may be. But if someone says, if they say, why did you apply? Oh, my mom made me do it. And it's kind of this lackadaisical attitude, then we're going to say, then this might not be for you. Right, because we want someone who really wants to dive into this. It's a commitment.
So obviously you're picking someone who's, first of all, motivated, because if someone's not motivated to do something, they're not going to help. But I guess the question then, how do you help those? I mean, what % of people who apply do you reject, or what % do you accept, I should say? Out of 100 people who are applying, what's your acceptance rate into the program?
Sure. So pre-COVID, we accepted about 45 a semester. We had three.
Out of how many?
It would vary. I would say anywhere from 70 to 100.
So roughly 50% of the people who apply, you end up accepting. All right.
Correct. And some of the students who apply don't live in the county. They are 17 years old. We explain the commitment, and now they have a class conflict because they have to be available on that seminar date. Some who apply and we follow up for a phone call, they never get back to us. I mean, if that's at baseline, they can't get back to us. This is not the program for them. So there's some of those reasons. Some students who apply, some students have significant mental health issues, and we really feel strongly that get your mental health in order first and then come back and apply to us. So there's all sorts of reasons like that as well.
All right.
So Allison, where do you get the funding from for supporting your staff and doing the volunteer work? It requires a lot of energy and time. Where do you get the funding from? Is the county supports or the state supports or federal or Department of Education?
It's a great question. So our funding, the biggest piece of our funding comes from foundations and grants. Our executive director, Mindy Jacobson, hustles to apply to foundations and grants for those types of pieces. We do get funding from Montgomery County as well. One of the things that they support, and we are so grateful, is our internship program. So for our internship program, our students can't afford to take unpaid internships. And so if an opportunity is unpaid or even a volunteer experience, we have a bucket of money from the county to pay them as if it's a paid internship. So for instance, we have students who volunteer at Holy Cross Hospital as volunteers, but we pay them for the experience through that money. So some of our funding comes from Montgomery County, and then individuals, we do an individual end of year campaign, giving campaign, and then a small amount from corporations.
On behalf of the membership committee, I would welcome you to join our club. So I'll approach you definitely to join our club, okay?
Super, yes. And I would love to send you, maybe Linda, I can send to you the links for the the volunteer applications. And I can also send you a link because you might be interested in our most recently published annual report.
Okay.
That would be great. And do we have permission to post them on our site?
Yes.
Okay.
Allison,
I had a question. Is your program unique to Montgomery County, or is there a national similar program in other places?
We are specific to Montgomery County, but that said, there are other similar organizations within our community. You may have heard of College Tracks or Identity, or within the school, ACES, ATPA. I would say some of the differentiating factors with our program is we are small, and we intentionally keep it small. We don't work with thousands of students. We work with hundreds of students because that's how we know them. When we are in a staff meeting, again, our staff of 4, when we're in a staff meeting and we have a student who wants to be an art teacher, what kind of internship opportunity can we find for her for an art? You know, it's just magical. We sit around, we know people, but we know the student. We know what kind of environment might be best for her. If a student is struggling at home, I mean, especially during COVID, we did some special fundraising specifically for COVID. Although, you know, academics and career is our lane, if a student is food insecure or housing insecure, they can't be successful in their academics. And especially when COVID came around, even technology clearly became an issue. We again did some special fundraising. We bought a number of laptops because we'd have families with students who would have, you know, 1 laptop for four kids. So, you know, we would buy some laptops and deliver them because they needed immediate to get online. We were, directing a lot of students to food pantries. We paid a couple rent checks, because the need was so great so quickly.
can I ask a question? What experience do you have with persons with disabilities? This club has worked with people who have disabilities and been able to help them. How do you deal with students like that?
So when it comes to, and I don't know what kind of, if you're talking about physical disabilities or mental health disabilities, but on the mental health side, I will say, there's a lot of stress in the circumstances from our students. So there's a lot of anxiety, there's depression, there's ADHD that has never been diagnosed. So there's a lot of those types of learning disabilities or mental health challenges. We have a great relationship with the Disability Services Office at Montgomery College, and they know us. And when we send a student to them, they take very good care of them. And again, a lot of the students just don't even know what to do to get those accommodations in place. We do have a lot of mentors who also work with the students in that regard. Again, mental health is not our lane per se, but we realize you have to address it to be successful. So we have a resource list from the county of different therapists and type organizations that we direct students to. Some of our students don't have health insurance, or they need it on a sliding scale because they're paying out of pocket. So we try to direct the students in that way as well. We actually got a grant from one organization specifically with money to support students to pay for those sessions when they have to pay out of pocket. So we have a pot of money that we are giving to students to get the mental health support that they need.
Okay, it was directed more at the issue of getting someone to a place of work. The ones we've dealt with had mobility issues, and we had a taxi to work program for people who they could only get a job at the graveyard shift essentially, and the buses weren't running.
Right. I don't think we've had students with physical disabilities apply. I know we have a student now who has hearing loss, and he uses, I'm losing the word right now, hearing aids. But I can't think off the top of my head of a student who's had physical disabilities, but that should not be a limiting factor by any means for them to participate.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, in person, right. So in person, we've been virtual for the past 3 semesters. Next semester, we hope to be in person. Our program takes place at Montgomery College. One of our staff people has physical limitations. She can get to where we go. So if she can get there, other people should be able to also.
Thank
The
you.
primary consideration is motivation, I guess.
It's motivation. It's, again, they have to be that 18 to 25. They have to be authorized to work in the US. They have to be a Montgomery County citizen. But yeah, motivation. They have to want this. They have to also be early in their education. So if they've already transferred to the University of Maryland, they've somehow figured it out, right? So we're really looking for those who are 30 credits or less, which means they're still in their freshman year. But just because it's their freshman year, it could still be their third year at Montgomery College because they're pacing so slowly. Because we want to try and catch them early to really help them.
Allison, how do students know about your organization?
Thank you. So we are always really happy that the referrals come to us. About a third of the referrals come to us from students who are currently in or who have completed our program. So students are telling their siblings, their friends, their people at church, at work, etc. about the program. The rest of the students come to us from a variety of factors, or sources rather. From Montgomery College, whether it's professors, counselors, academic advisors, from Montgomery County partners that we have, as well as other nonprofits in the community that also serve the students that we work with. And now even students are finding us on social media and through Google. So it's just a variety of sources.
Allison, yes, I work with Rockville Science Center in STEM education outreach for students. And we would love to figure out a way to partner with you, with some of the students that may be going into technical careers, various kinds, after school programs, the things that we're doing. And also just to learn more about how you have been operating successfully in the pandemic and with the school system that's very complicated to deal with. Those kind of questions. So I'll be in touch with you, but thank you very much. This is very helpful.
That sounds wonderful, Paul. Thank you. I'd love to be in touch. Yes.
Allison, may I ask you, I'm not criticized. I just try to understand. You work with the children who doesn't have a role model, who are low income people, but it's a lot of another people, children who has, role model maybe at home. But all knowledge is what you give. It's very important for next. And I see if you select this group of people, your company, hope it's for another part of children. It's a bigger competition now because you, like example, you students know how to make an interview, pass interview, how to make something. And I just thinking about another Native American, a little up in income and have a role model, but they're still sitting home, depend of the parents. And what can be, some balance here? Because it's a lot, my son a long time ago in a college, Montgomery, he didn't have something because he's not Latina. So we forgot about it, but I still remember. I saw yeah, you understood me, right?
Yes,
Dear
yes.
America, what we want to, put up, they give a lot of scholarship, but just to Latino. And that's strange for me. I'm an immigrant by myself a long time ago. That's what I think somebody have to be responsible for this balance, right?
Right. And so our board specifically wanted to focus on first generation to college, low income. And I think because of that, it organically results in students who don't have a professional role model at home. It doesn't mean that the students' parents were not professionals, for instance, in their home country. I mean, we have students whose parents were engineers or teachers or accountants in their home country, and then they came here and it just doesn't translate. The process to get the education transferred, it's expensive to do it. And when you first come here, they are just hustling to get life in order. And so there's that piece. Some of our students are living here with extended family. Some are living here completely on their own. They have nobody here. And so the difference is, again, those soft skills, which I think are always underplayed, how important they are. So for instance, I have 2 kids, one's in middle school and one's in high school. They know how to keep a calendar. They know how to, shake hands and make eye contact because they see my husband and I doing this on a regular basis. Did you do your homework? Did you turn this in? Did you follow up? And when you haven't had someone doing that for you and you're just learning those skills as an 18, 19 or 20-year-old, it is tough to learn those skills at that point in time. Again, when they don't have someone who's, that little voice on their shoulder talking to them.
Well, thank you for interesting discussion. We're going to officially end the meeting now. We're a couple minutes out. You can continue on. You can continue onward with the discussion online, but some of us have work we have to get to. So we'll officially end this meeting until our next virtual meeting next Friday. Thank you all. Have a good
Thank
week.
you. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Next
Thanks
Friday
a lot,
is
Allison.
physical meeting, Steve.
Thank you very much, Allison. That was great.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I'm happy if anyone wants to stay on for another minute or two, I'm happy to answer any other questions.
My question has to do with the gender. I mean, how many, whether it's boys versus the girls, what's the proportion of that in the people that you're helping?
It's about 60% female and 40% male.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Alison, did you hear about Rotary RILA program? It's a Rotary Youth Leadership Award. It's a wonderful, idea. That's what we participate years and years and
I'm sorry, Victoria, what is the name of it again?
RILA. And it started in Australia, they started this one. It's very interesting. I was participate one time physically, I was in this school. It's like a camp. So very interesting. Very interesting.
Thank you. I will look into that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Allison. It was a great presentation.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
We will be happy to see you again in our club, physically or, virtually. It's,
yes. You all meet weekly?
We like to meet and talk with clever people.
We meet every week at 7:45 we start, and we will be posting this talk on our website or on our video channel. And we have collected about 32 recordings of previous speakers out on our YouTube channel. We'd love to try to broadcast the kind of excellent social programs and things like you're doing for our local community. And so we focus on, the North Bethesda area. That's our little spot. But we have a lot of people that are interested in potentially in volunteering, in providing support, donations, various things. And so we all are kind of partners through our video channel. So we thank you again for all the things you've been doing. It's quite inspiring. When I was young, I see all those things about professional development. I had none of that. No mentoring, no tutoring, no nothing. I just had to figure it out. And
I do the same thing, but not at the high school level. I do it at the college level. At the Georgetown University, I mentor a lot of students actually. That's the environmental area. But I think it's an excellent program. And think about joining the club. I will follow you.
Yeah, I mean, look, the systems are complicated. I mean, they, you say yes to a question you should say no to, and all of a sudden you have out-of-state tuition at University of Maryland. I mean, we have so many students who misinterpret this one question, and then all of a sudden they have, you know, a $40,000 tuition bill, you know, tuition and room and board bill, and they're like, what? You know, and then we have to help them figure out who to contact to do that. The federal financial aid forms, you know, if they can't get their parents' tax forms, they can't complete that. It's complicated. Transferring from Montgomery College to the four-year school, you know, they're not just at one school for 4 years, they're transferring mid time. And again, as you all know, the systems are complicated, and especially for students who English is their second language, you know, how they phrase things for you and I, it's challenging to read. So there's a lot that we work on with the students because one misstep and they could be going off in the wrong direction. But we also recognize our students are adults. They're all 18 and older. So at the end of the day, you know, this is their future. We always tell them their lives. We are here to guide them, give them opportunities, give them ideas. It's their choice to take them and run with it.
We work a lot for, you know, Thomas Edison High School of Technology. You definitely know it. And, you know, new school is built in, you know, in Montgomery County.
So you are welcome to join our, you know, the breakfast meeting next week at the Pooksville Marriott. Please join if you have time, if you can make it.
All right, yeah, I'll be in touch with Linda and I'll send her the volunteer forms, our annual report, and then Paul, I'd love to connect with you as well about the Science Center.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great.
Wonderful.
All right,
And
wonderful. Thank you for your time.
Thank you all.
I appreciate it.
Thank you for
Okay.
Patty and Sam
Our new
joining us
people.
today.
Thank you for
Bye.
visiting.
Thank
See
you.
you next week.
Bye.